This is Investor Perspectives. I'm the host of Investor Connect, Hall T. Martin, where we connect startups and investors for funding. In this episode, you'll hear about a new company in the gaming sector called acQyr. Our featured guests are Mike Lambert and David Sterling, key investors in acQyr, and Jim Mulford, president and CEO and founder of acQyr. acQyr is the first fintech platform to manage in-game consumable digital assets, rewards, tournament winnings, coins, points, etc. EQX operates in near real time, providing enhanced gamer satisfaction, which leads to more revenues for game publishers. Our host today is Ashley Matthysse. I hope you enjoy this episode.
Hi there, this is Ashley Matthysse, Director of Outreach with 10 Capital. I am joined today by President and CEO of acQyr, Jim Mulford, and key investors Dave Sterling and Mike Lambert. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today.
Happy to do it.
Jim, I understand that acQyr is the first rewards redemption platform that allows users to turn earned rewards into cash across multiple games. Could you just tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure, Ashley, I'd be happy to. Thank you very much. So prior to the impending market launch of acQyr, our team has been heavily investing into the development, research, testing, and actual piloting of an easy-to-use, real-time software platform for both the issuance and redemption of loyalty reward value. So as you mentioned with acQyr, we are now focusing that effort on the mobile video gaming market. Gamers that use it through our easy-to-use mobile app are now able to manage, exchange, and redeem their rewards to cash in real time. And of course, for game publishers, this is very important too, because what it does is lead to more game player engagement, retention, purchases, and of course, to increase revenues. I think an easy way to explain acQyr is to think of it this way: is say you had $100 in 12 foreign currencies, and you wanted to spend that money. It would be very difficult if you didn't have a foreign currency exchange platform to go to so that you could easily convert that to the denomination in which you wanted to spend it. So it's the same thing with in-game rewards that are issued. They're all caught up in the individual game, but now what do I as a game player do with those rewards? And that's what acQyr does, provides an easy mechanism to exchange those rewards and then to go and redeem them for cash. So that's it in a nutshell. We're very excited about being able to bring this to market this month.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, we will start with our Q&A. Mike, do you want to tell us about your background as an investor?
Sure. I was practicing in Houston when Enron crashed, went out of business. And a lot of the people in town started thinking about ways to develop new companies and stimulate new companies and assist them in the development phase. And so we, a whole bunch of people, went together and built the Houston Technology Center in Houston. And Technology Center was built to have small companies come in for minimal funding and have secretaries and computers and access to academics, peoples who would come over and on a rotational basis, basically mentor them, as well as investors and that sort of thing. And at the same time, we realized that there needed to be a funding mechanism. So we started the Houston Angel Network. And from that grew the Central Texas Angel Network and 10, as you know. I've known Hall for a long time. Anyway, we every Wednesday would meet and go over various companies in Houston and support them. And pretty soon it was out of Houston. It was all over Texas. I think it's all over everywhere now. And so I've made a lot of investments through them. And then I moved, we retired, I moved over here to Austin and joined Hall in the CTAN, which I was only in a short period of time because I just decided to start investing in people I knew, and that's how we got here.
Fantastic. And Dave, how about you? What is your background as an investor?
Well, I've been investing since the three of us were at the Air Force Academy. So it's been a long-time investor. I guess about 8-9 years ago, I was talking with Mike, and we were commiserating about some of the investments we made and how some have turned positive and some not so positive. And we discussed, well, why don't we start investing in our classmates? And Jim was one of our classmates, and he was starting this new venture. And so we said, well, we understand he's got a high level of integrity and work ethic. So probability is if we invest in him, we're likely to make a return. So that's what we decided to do.
Fantastic. Mike, what do you normally invest in? What types of deals?
Oh, lots of things. I've invested everything from sweet leaf tea, if you know what that is, the tea. We invested in that, and when it was brand new and did well with that one, to a company called Three Wire, a couple of restaurants, Colorado Mountain Brewery in Colorado Springs, and one here in Austin that I won't mention because it didn't do well. It's gone. And a bunch of other things, buildings, oil and gas, gold mine, believe it or not, rhythm chips. You know what rhythm chips are? They're like potato chips, only with kale and other various types of ingredients. And currently an LBX system we mentioned earlier when we came on.
Okay. And how about you, Dave? What do you normally invest in?
Well, I primarily invest in stocks or ETFs, exchange traded funds, but I set aside a fair amount of money to invest in new venture activities. And Mike and I have discussed those a lot. And we've done, what do you think, about 3 or 4 of them, Mike?
Easily, yeah.
Yeah. So we've done that as kind of as a group. So,
Okay.
and we've got roped some of our classmates into doing it as well.
That's great.
Invited, not roped.
Oh yeah, that's right. Invited.
So for this next question, I know you mentioned that y'all had decided to invest in your classmates and Jim's integrity was a big part of this decision, but can you expand a little bit upon what made you decide, any other things that made you decide to invest in this deal specifically, Mike?
Sure. Well, obviously, we've known each other for over 50 years. That's all 3 of us. We're in the same squadron together at one point in time at the Air Force Academy. And Jim has been very successful in previous ventures and is an honorable and ethical person. And what Dave didn't say, we had a couple of investments where people weren't so honorable and ethical, outside of our classmates. And so we decided to go with people who we knew absolutely were honorable and ethical people and had good ideas. And basically, that's how we got here.
And you, Dave?
Pretty much the same. My understanding of investing, I used to run a company myself. And so I've got a fair amount of experience, and I know that you can have a great idea, but if you don't trust the management, you're not going to make any money off of it. So when Mike and I decided to go into this, we decided we'd have a high integrity threshold, and we'd only invest in those people that we knew would be honest with us. And so Jim certainly fit that bill. And we looked at his activities, gave him some advice of some things we would do, and pretty much we're launched from there.
Great.
I'm sorry. I think the other important thing is that Jim has a great idea. It's literally a game-changing idea, and I mean that both literally and figuratively. So we both thought this was something that people. It's kind of like the Apple iPhone. You won't realize once it takes effect, people are going to wonder how they didn't have it before. It's a game changer.
Yeah. And speaking of trust and honesty, what else did you like about the team, Mike?
Everyone on the Jim's team is experienced and successful in the past, and they've all been successful and maintained their integrity. And I really like that.
And Dave?
I think the idea is well thought out. They've gone in achievable steps. They haven't looked for a lot of risk. And again, the basic thing is if you don't trust the management, then you should invest in the company because they have the ability to do whatever they want. So,
okay. Mike, why do you think this company will continue to be successful?
I think it's the idea, first of all, and then the people. The idea is literally something that has been needed for a long time. And players are going to find that they can move their whatever they buy, their coin, so to speak, around from one game to another readily. And it will be beneficial both to the players and to the game companies as well. Something that has been needed.
Dave?
It's been my experience that the idea is a good one, but it's the execution of the idea that proves whether it's going to be workable or not. And Jim has the ability to never give up. He keeps looking for new ways to transform the idea and identify ways to get it executed. And I think with that work ethic and commitment, and plus a great idea that he's going to achieve his goals.
And I'll pose this question to both of you at the same time. What challenges have you seen the company face and overcome?
Well, I think the primary one has been funding. It's a great idea, but it's an early stage company. So getting funding is a challenge. And so Mike and I and another investor have committed to fund that. And Jim's gone out to different investment sites and made pitches about what the project is, where he is along in the project. And he's gathered a lot of outside investors. So I think that's very positive.
Great. Mike, anything you want to add?
No, Dave's covered it well, I think.
Okay. Mike, what excites you most about this opportunity?
Well, it's a lot of different things, actually. The idea, I think, is phenomenal. And I think because it's a great idea and they're executing it. I mean, they're very close to going public here. And it's going to allow us to be able to invest in other things that my wife and I want to invest in, and with more money, actually, because I think it's going to do really well.
Great. And you, Dave?
I actually think it's an opportunity for Jim for us to help Jim achieve his goals. As you can understand, we're not new guys. We've been around a long time, and Jim has been at this for a while. And I'm just, I'd like to make a return on it, but basically I'm trying to invest in Jim so that he is able to achieve this company. And quite frankly, I don't play games, so it's not something that I would personally use, but I understand its utility and I understand its attraction. And I think Jim has structured a well thought out, very competent business plan. And so I just want to achieve it, to see it achieve, and everybody to be happy. A lot of my investments I make in the stock market, I don't know anything about the people involved, so I have no personal relationship. And I think having a personal relationship with somebody adds to the desire to see this through.
Great. Mike, how are you helping the team?
Basically, we fund and also provide advice and support to the team.
And you, Dave?
Basically, that's it. We get out of the way of the technology because they know what they're doing. But if there's something both Mike and I have run projects before, run businesses before, so we understand when there's something missing in the plan. And so we help Jim identify that and help him structure ways to overcome those obstacles.
Great. And Mike, what else should other investors know about this company when considering investment?
We've probably covered it pretty well, but I think this is a great idea, or set of ideas, actually. This is the first of that, and is being actuated by some very good people, really great people who've been successful in the past and know how to be successful now. All of them are superbly experienced to be able to make this a success.
Dave, anything to add?
I think people ought to realize that besides financially committed to this, Jim is personally committed to this. And I think that personal commitment adds a lot because, again, the personal relationship, when you know what somebody's done for their entire life, they're not going to change their spots at the last minute. So it gives me a vote of confidence to know that Jim's in charge of this.
That's great. And Jim, would love if you could share any recent updates and the status of your fundraise.
Great. Well, thank you, Ashley. Yeah, it's really a blessing to have an investment team behind us. We've invested significantly, as I mentioned at the beginning, into the platform, and now we're ready to launch. Our current private placement memorandum is a total of $750,000. And the good news is because of our current investors and new investors that have come in, we're already over 2/3 of the way towards completion of that. So it's moving very rapidly. It's allowing us to move forward with the launch. In fact, it's very exciting news because on next Monday, November 9th, we will be live in the marketplace. Our app is going into production right now. We're very excited about that. We'll, over the remainder of November, December, we'll be bringing on additional game publishers. And our expectation is then in early 2021, we're going to start to make a major push into the marketplace, begin to expand. We'll likely execute one last funding round in second quarter of next year for major expansion, not only nationally, but internationally. There's over 2.7 billion gamers in the world today. It just blows me away to think about that. And over $30 billion of unredeemed assets within those games. And this is really a game changer. I mean, you think of what loyalty rewards and cashback rewards have done to the brand and retail space. The same thing's about to happen in the mobile video gaming market. So we're well positioned to do that with acQyr Exchange. We're excited. We're going to be seeing, we'll be having our first press release on this on Monday. So it's very exciting news. We think this round is going to close up very quickly. And we've already entered discussions with a couple of small venture funds that are early stage funds for the next round of funding. So everything is going to plan thanks to our current investors and not only the financial investment they've made, but the sound advice that they've given us. We couldn't be happier. I mean, and Mike and Dave mentioned that I'm also heavily invested in this, not only sweat equity, but I've got a lot of investment funding into this. So we've got a solid platform on which to move forward, and it's exciting times for us.
That's really great to hear. Gentlemen, thank you all so much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for joining us today. As always, be sure to leave a review, subscribe to this podcast, and share it with others. Let's go start up something today. Halti Martin is the director of Investor Connect, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors for early stage funding. All opinions expressed by Hall and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Investor Connect. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for the basis of investment decisions.